Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Been pretty warm today, but it's been breezy, as you can probably see and maybe even hear in the microphone. So it's not been terrible. I mean, we've been in the high 90s, 97, 98 degrees. Humidity's up there, but there's been this constant wind all day, so it's not been too terrible. At least it hasn't felt that bad. So let's talk some more about World War III. All right, and I'm not gonna talk about it in the sense of, you know, Iran's gonna attack Israel tonight, tomorrow, the next day, the day after, anything like that. A lot of times it's just kind of, I've heard people say read the tea leaves, and I'm not into that kind of stuff. But as a figure of speech, kind of seeing what people are saying and doing as to where this is all headed. And I think that the stage is being set for what's going on in the Middle East to become much bigger than just a tit for tat between Israel and Iran and its surrogates, or even a regional war. I think that this is being set up. If you're watching how Russia and China and North Korea and Pakistan and other nations are lining up an alliance supporting Iran, much like the United States and the West did with Ukraine. They're sending, weapons, they're sending intelligence, they're sending, all kinds of things into Iran, or saying that they will. So we're watching that side of it happen. And we see that they're preparing for this to be a much bigger conflict than just between Israel and Iran. Well, the West is doing the same thing. Israel and the United States are doing the same thing, especially with the United States. Speaker Johnson said today in a tweet that if Iran or its, tentacles, its surrogates, attack Israel or American interests, that the United States will retaliate with force. Will retaliate through economic means and through military means. When he came on as the speaker, he said that he viewed himself as a speaker of war, as a war speaker of the House. And everything is kind of playing out that way. So it's not just, and then you also have to consider that Joe Biden's been completely silent on, everything, but especially this topic. Kamala Harris, other than just this evening, has not done any kind of press conference or anything, campaign or otherwise, since she became the Democrat nominee, and she's not said anything about what's going on in Israel and Iran. There's been very little discussion from an official U.S. government stance on what's going on over there, other than, Iran better be careful, Iran better not do this, we're going to, retaliate or protect and all this kind of stuff. There's intel out there right now on the internet, or being shared on the internet, that Iran is planning on also attacking U.S. ships, U.S. naval ships. There's already been an attack on a U.S. air base in Iraq, and Israel is, attacking certain targets in Lebanon and Yemen and Iraq and Syria, and the United States has attacked targets in Yemen. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and everything looks like it's building to that war stance. Israel has said that if Iran hurts any civilians, that they will retaliate in full force. And the United States has also said today that it looks like they're well past that we as a government, as the West, is well past the point of any kind of negotiations or stopping Iran, that they have made the decision and that they're going to go through with this. This in attack or invasion or whatever you want to call it. Everything from a military perspective looks like that this is a go. It's just, the question is when. It's been drug out now for several days. A leader in Hezbollah said that they are doing this purposefully to cause added stress to Israel. Maybe it's because Iran's trying to build up more strength and more weapons from Russia or whatever. But the fact is it looks like on the surface that a very, very serious war is about to start. And I'm sure this is all part of the plan. I'm sure this has all been planned for a while. But the point is, the main focus is that it's going to happen, right? At least that's what they're telling us. And it appears that it's going to be more major than what originally was being told. That maybe, you know, Iran was just going to retaliate, kind of spank Israel a little bit, and then maybe things would be okay after that, kind of like what happened back in April. But even the Pentagon is stating that the intel that they have is that Iran is and all of its surrogates together are planning to overwhelm Israel and the United States defense systems in the initial attack, and that they feel that it will overwhelm it, that Israel and the United States' defenses are not adequate to withstand the amount of, you know, missiles, bombs, rockets, drones, all that kind of stuff that's planned on being thrown at Israel at one time. So it would be safe to assume that there's going to be some casualties, that there's going to be some damage to Israel in this attack. And if that happens, well, things could definitely escalate and could spiral very quickly. I mean, this is something that we've all thought about, we've all been prepping for, we've all been kind of gearing up for, and it does appear that that we are at its doorstep. And I understand that there's, you know, well, maybe it's not going to be that big a deal, and that's quite possible, you know, but it does look like it's going to be quite serious. And so we need to start kind of thinking about this long term, okay? The long-term repercussions. Will the United States really get drawn into this? Will it be more than just us being in a defensive posture, maybe sending some planes and missiles and rockets and stuff over? Will we see ground troops involved in this? Will this be a broader scale war in that sense? Will Russia jump in on this? Will it, you know, China jump in on this? Will Turkey? Turkey's a real big one to be paying attention to. Not a lot has been said about Turkey since all this started. And honestly, Turkey is probably more, you know, integral in all of this than maybe anyone else, for not just the tactical reasons, but also biblical reasons. If the United States gets dragged into this, we could certainly see a draft. There's been whispers of that for a while. And this year there was new legislation proposed to change the rules on the draft that would even include women being drafted. So it's like the stage has been set. And of course, as we've said many times before and all talked about, with the election coming up, a major war that really drug America into it would be, would be common, would be what we would almost expect based on the current direction of this election. So you and I really have to kind of, number one, not get worn out. I get bored of it. You know, I can already tell, and maybe it's just me because I'm not, you know, the greatest at making content, but the first initial days of this, when I would put out a video, it would get lots and lots of views, and, you know, yesterday and today, not as much, you know, kind of back down to normal, and I think people are already getting tired of that. I've watched other content creators, other YouTubers and stuff, you know, they're already shifting gears and talking about other things. Not a big problem with that, but I think it's because people's attention has already been drawn away. They've already gotten bored of this situation, and I think that also is part of the plan, is to get everyone to where they don't care about it anymore, where they become numb to the situation. I'm not saying that we should obsess over it, that we should do nothing but think about this, but it could be a very, very serious scenario, and we need to be prepared for it. It could also be a very biblical scenario, and we need to be prepared for that also. Spiritually, definitely. I talked about that over on my Locals channel today, of the level of spiritual preparedness that we need to have going into these very dark and biblical times. But your regular preparation should be top of the line too. You should be throwing everything that you're able to into it, and that's different for different people, of course, but still putting lots and lots of effort into making sure that you're ready for an all-out war that America could get drug into. China could make its move on, you know, Taiwan. North and South Korea could pop off. Ukraine and Russia could get worse. There's all types of areas around the world that if America gets drug into a war in the Middle East, other areas could take advantage of the moment. It would spread us very thin. Congressional reports show that we could not sustain a 2 to 3 front war. And so what happens to America? Will that be its demise? That, along with the social, moral, and just, you know, the downfall here in the United States of just everything falling apart, you know, socially, financially, all of that kind of stuff. We are in dark times, and we are headed into darker times. And I don't say that to add some sadness and some doom and some fear and all that kind of stuff. I say that so that we can be consciously aware of that, and then taking appropriate actions in our lives and in our communities, our families, to ward against that, to build a plan and basically a wall, kind of that circling the wagons sort of deal, so that as these events start to happen, we're better prepared to handle them. Whether it's food, general supplies, water, fuel, ammunition, medical supplies, the mental part of it, of just gearing up, the things that you need to do around your property to be as ready there, the spiritual side of things, all of it needs to be at the top level right now. Because whether it happens tonight, tomorrow, or next week, things are about to really take a turn for the worse. And if what is expected does happen to Israel, this could spiral out of control quite quickly. So it's something to definitely pay attention to and to actively be preparing for it. And like I said today over in Locals, the number one thing right now you really need to be focused on is your spiritual strength, your spiritual awareness, your personal relationship with the Father, with the Most High, because that's where the attacks are really going to start coming at us. We're already watching actual physical violent attacks to Bible-believing Christians in Europe and the United Kingdom. We're watching spiritual warfare in other fronts around the world growing. And we're seeing it happen here in the United States also. Most of it is just verbal, attacks. But the gauge of going from verbal to physical is getting pretty close. And I don't think we're too far away from that. So we need to be prepared in all ways, looking at what's going on in Europe with the violence, from the illegal Muslims that's, migrated into there. We've got way more of them, that's these illegals in this country than they do. And so the possibilities of what's going on there happening here I think are pretty high, especially with the current election cycle. So we need to be getting ready. Don't get distracted. Don't get bored. Don't give up. You need to be still pushing forward motion at all time, because that's the only way that we're going to stay ready for this. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.